The system is asinine.
Yes. It is broken. I mean, look, everybody knows that I love government, that I'm a big fan of government. I'm a big fan of democracy. I'm a big fan of representative democracy and democratic governments. But our system is a disaster compared to Western European and some Asian countries. Our democratic process is a complete disaster. We were talking about taxes just now and the tax system. And I'm a big fan of taxes, but bracketed taxes are just fucking dumb as shit. Like I was telling JJ, my mom used to work, single mom, working like making $35,000 a year back when I was a kid, nothing, and going to school at night. And she did some work for somebody, and I think she did like 2 weeks of work for the guy and got $1,000, and it pushed her into the next tax bracket and she owed $1,200 in taxes more. So she ended up making less money, like coming out of net negative, just because she worked some extra hours. Our current system encourages people not to work, and that's just never a good thing. Like, we want to encourage people to work, but we don't want to, like, if they do, it's just, it's frustrating.
The whole reason that I called up Michael to do this show, and we're like ready to do the show, and I was like, Michael, do you know anything about unemployment? Because my hours are getting cut because of COVID stuff, and I'm like, well, shit, but like I'm still going to make more than the cutoff for unemployment, but I just happen to live in the fucking Bay Area where my rent is, $10,000 a month, basically, more or less.
Yeah.
And so like, there's just no, like, first of all, $460 a month $460 a week probably wouldn't help me. It's like not enough, but like, yeah, that would be a really messed up situation if you're like, well, I can work and get paid, whatever, $30 that I can spend on groceries, or I can not work and claim unemployment instead.
Yeah.
What'll I do?
Yeah, I hate the fact that we have an all or nothing system, and that's why our country is collapsing and why so many people fall through the cracks. And we have a growing lower class and a shrinking middle class. It's because we used to have all these things in place that caught people before they slipped through the crack. Because here's the thing: once somebody slips through the crack, rich people are paying astronomically more money to help the poor people. Where so think of it like cancer. Think of it like pre-screening for cancer. If you pre-screen for cancer, your insurance company can pay like $6,000 if they catch it right away. If they don't catch it right away, if they don't pay for pre-screenings and you make people pay out of pocket, people just aren't going to go, and they're going to wait till it's stage 3, and that insurance company's going to have to kick down like $7 million. But who's paying that is the rich people. So this is my frustration. Like, rich people can be so fucking dumb. They don't have any foresight, and they would rather like oppress somebody and pay more money to make that person feel like shit than pay less money and make society like healthy and smooth and run well. And it's just, it really drives me. I mean, and this is, I grew up in poverty. I've lived in poverty half my life as an artist, most of my life as an artist. It's just, you see how easy it could be, especially how like Western European countries, like I said, Australia, New Zealand, Asian countries, it's so much easier for them. There's a reason why half their countries are completely open right now.
Oh man. Some rich people are just so dumb. Some are really smart, like that Michael Saylor guy who just bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin for an average price of $19,427 or something like that. Pretty nuts stuff. It's a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week. We actually tried recording a show last week, but we didn't publish it. It was different kind of thing. But I was talking about how, man, we're in this bull run, we're quote unquote bull run, but I don't feel like the euphoria that I mean, we're at all-time highs, but I don't feel that feeling. I don't get it. I don't get it from the community. I don't see people freaking out on Twitter. Relatives aren't calling me, asking me about Bitcoin. I'm not getting that fervor. And I think some people were agreeing with me that there wasn't really that feeling. There wasn't that sentiment. And then a week goes by, and now all of a sudden it's through the roof, and like it's on CNBC, and it's on fucking everywhere I look. I feel like somebody is talking about how Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million again. There's talk of astronomy. Am I wrong? It's just like gone up a lot in the last week, I feel like.
I mean, I was seeing it on CNBC. You weren't. I was probably on crypto Twitter more than you were, and so I was seeing the Hopium last week, and I even tweeted about a week and a half ago. I said this feels like a top to me.
Yeah, that was the day, like the day before it crashed. A couple $1,000.
Yeah, just because the Hopium on Twitter was ridiculous. It was out of control, and I think the point is, like, when I start to get fed up with seeing shit about Bitcoin, that's when I kind of have a sense that we're getting a top, because
I love these words. I love words like hopium. Hopium's a good one, but hopium to me means something specific. Hopium means like, for some reason I bought this altcoin and it's going down and down and down, and like, but I just know it's going to go back up. That's hopium for me. It's basically like dopium, but hoping that there's still a feeling of like, oh, but it's going to pay off.
Oh my God. So go on crypto Twitter and just, I feel like every single quote unquote influencer, is, and I'm sure you guys, if you're on Twitter, you see this, is they say, show me your favorite altcoin. And then I go into that feed and it's just like, I swear to God, I've been in crypto for 4 years, 3.5, 4 years now, or 3 years. And I don't know any of these cryptocurrencies.
Oh, really?
I don't know any. I know like maybe that's not true. Maybe like 5% of them.
You haven't heard of like LFM and ZQY
and every single person goes, man, you'd be an idiot not to do this because this is guaranteed, guaranteed 10x, guaranteed 100x, and it's just like
right.
It's ridiculous, and I'm just like, what the fuck are all these shit coins? Then I'm like, stop it. Don't be a fucking maximalist. Don't be a Bitcoin maximalist.
Well, so let's tell some stories of the last bull run then, because we got like 1,000 new cryptocurrencies in 2017 alone, or something ridiculous like that. Like the coin market cap went up to, I think I remember seeing it like maybe 1,600 cryptocurrencies listed on that site, and that's not even all of them. That's just the ones that were listed there. So my question is like I'd hear like people who've been around for a long time talk about the old coin, the peer coins, or the name coins, or whatever, the cryptocurrencies from the previous generation, I guess. And like most of them kind of, they died out, or maybe there's still some development or something. We don't hear about them, but there's all these new ones that are. So are we in a new cycle where those old legacy cryptos are gone, you think? Do you think something like, we've had this conversation
like
before.
Pivx?
Like something like Pivx, or what's another good one, like 10x,
or like Zem.
Well, I don't even know what Zem is.
Nem.
Oh, XEM. Nem. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I remember that was like number 10 for a year or something like that, and it just never moved. It never moved from number 10.
It's kind of fun to go back and look at the historical coin market cap charts from like years ago, from 2015, and to see what was in the top 10, because it's totally different.
Yeah.
Like, you think that the top 10 cryptos that are around are like, oh yeah, they've been here forever. It's, Ripple and Stellar Lumens, and those two have been around for a long time, but so many of the other ones, there's been no Chainlink, no Cardano, none of those things are those. So we're probably just in a new cycle where there's going to be a lot of these new shitcoins that are just going to start popping up, and some of them are probably going to do something, and some of them probably won't. And if you're
Verge making a comeback,
this is why,
based on zero technology, zero announcements, zero work. But people are going to pump shit. Okay, so you know how I heard of Verge last time? I was going down the crypto rabbit hole on YouTube.
I've got a Verge story too next, yeah.
And I run into this it's like ghetto ass guy, and he's just like on an old school flip phone video camera. And
Was it the
he's like,
creator?
I don't know. It could be. Totally ghetto, could barely understand, those like hardcore ghetto guys out of like Florida or something like that, where it's just like this mix of like Creole and this and that. It's like, what? I don't even understand what language you're speaking. But the guy was like, yo,
guys,
Verge under a penny is going to $1. Check it. And I was like, and this is like back in the when it was just starting to pump, and I was like, hey, why not?
Where did you meet this guy? Where? Like,
no, it was just on YouTube. Some random on YouTube. And so it's like, I was like, at that point, stuff I'd never heard of was pumping, and I hadn't heard of Verge before. So I was like, you know what? It's on Bittrex, and I was on Bittrex at that time. I was like, do it. Here's $500.
Oh, the videos. Yeah, there'd be like a dude in like a Mazda Miata going, yo, this coin's going to go to, $30. Promise.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah.
And then Verge that was under a penny went to 33 cents.
So I was relatively new then too. And I think I joined some Facebook groups because I was like, I like this idea of decentralized storage. I think the Sia coin thing could be doing good stuff. I went to a Facebook, group, and I would I typed in, does anybody else see this project as being worth anything in the future? Somebody replied, like, bro, if you want a Lambo coin, go for Verge. Literally, that's what the only thing. It was like, if you want a Lambo coin, go for this one. And I was like, oh, okay, I've never heard that before, Lambo coin.
It's gonna happen. I mean, it's already starting to happen.
Yeah.
I'm getting hit up. I am getting followed by so many fake accounts. Like Crypto Finally, a fake account for her, fake account for a bunch of people I follow. And I'm just like, what's going on?
The scams are coming back. So, excuse me. Sorry, I'm having trouble catching my words here. So there's a thing. So cryptocurrency really is the investment vehicle for the poor person, I guess, right? That's like, I think, that's
the pitch. That's the sales pitch.
Well, it is. It's the pitch, but it's also the it's the only thing that people can get into if they have $10. It's like, sure, I guess now you can go on Robinhood and buy some stocks.
Yeah.
But crypto is like the thing that the average person living in bumfuck nowhere can actually log on his phone and buy something right now on Coinbase, or even better yet on Uniswap or whatever, and genuinely think that they're going to get rich from it. And some of them probably will. Yeah. But that's what it was like in 2017. It was just like, oh my God, who are these morons? Like YouTube, especially. My God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Woo. Yeah. And so those people are coming out of the woodwork again. So we're going to start seeing them again.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I know. That's kind of when I felt we were getting a little toppy, was when those people started being like, oh shit, I can start making money again and come back. And then I feel like other people started to feel it too. And then there was just like this quick little pullback. And it's like, yeah, the whales saw it. The whales did something about it.
I saw like an interview with Michael Saylor, and like he kind of like
the guy that kind of talks like
this. Yeah, he kind of talks like this, but he kind of looks a little crazy too. I mean, he could be one of those guys from Florida, but he didn't have. I mean, like, I'm sure he's a brilliant guy. I mean, he's the CEO of a big company that's done really important things, but like he didn't really have.
That doesn't mean shit.
He had absolutely nothing to say in that interview. Or I mean, I was like, one of his reasons for being interested in crypto is because the community is so great. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
but you bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin because you like crypto Twitter?
At the top. He bought $50 million at the top. He bought 450 million a year or two ago. I mean, but like,
a while ago. But I mean, yeah, no, he owns like $500 million. I don't even know how much he has, like something crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Basically because he likes the community.
Yeah, so like a broken clock is right twice a day. I mean, if you have money and it's just like, and you just like want to gamble, unless you're a complete moron. If you, in the last 10 years, if you put your money in anything, it was pretty much going to do well, stock market wise, cryptocurrency wise. As long as you put your stuff in the top 10 coin, you're doing relatively well right now.
My first question was, okay, so he's already bought like $500 million worth of Bitcoin, right? And that was when the price was like 6,000 or whatever. And then now he's shouting again from the rooftops that he's buying at an all-time high. Yeah. To me, that doesn't look really good, because to me, that's like, let me pump this one more time so I can dump everything that I have so I can buy back in lower because I'm a whale. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he has enough to actually influence the markets. He probably does at this point, but wouldn't that be the easiest thing in the world? I don't know. That was the first thing I thought, was like, you're telling people to buy the top right now. Why? Why are you doing that? I don't know. He's got enough money to tank the market.
I mean, maybe he thought that it was going to keep going. Maybe he thought it was going to go to 30K or something like that before it pulled back. And so maybe he's just trying to drive it up higher.
We talked about Bitcoin being sort of being used by Wall Street now, and like, to me, that's not a good sign when the people who are like, who understand market manipulation better than anyone else, they now have control of a market that they can manipulate. Like, there's nothing stopping them from doing that.
Yeah,
that's kind of freaky. I mean, that's like, right now we're taught, like, we just got, I don't know where you live, listener, or Michael, you're in LA, so I'm sure you got, shelter in place shit going on down there. But in the Bay Area, just on Friday, they basically said we're not supposed to go anywhere until mid-January.
Holy shit! Mid-January?
Yep. Well, early January, at least the first week of January. So it's going to be like, it's shelter in place. Totally, everything's locked down. Only, like, there's certain businesses going to stay open, but it's going to be pretty rough. And it to me, I even got one of those warnings, those alerts on your phone where it goes, and then it says, like, stay. To me, that's like, well, this reminds me of March 12th or March 16th or wherever, when the stock market crashed. And so I'm kind of getting ready mentally for something to happen tomorrow. I know a lot of people are talking about there's going to be some pump for magical reasons, but I don't know. I'm feeling pretty bearish, actually.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel like at this point, people just don't care. So I feel like it's like cryptocurrency about a year ago. There was no amount of bad publicity, because, like, okay, so 3 years ago, right after the pump to 19.5, whatever it was, any piece of news would tank the price of Bitcoin by like 30%. China's banning it. India says they're going to let, China bans it, drops 30 points, or 30%. India says they're going to accept Bitcoin. It drives up 60%. It's just like, constantly up and down. And then towards the end of the bear, you could not move the price. You could announce that, like, aliens were invading, and people were like, I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin. I don't care. So I kind of feel people are apathetic about. I mean, and the reason I think this is because they're just apathetic. Americans are apathetic in general, and we're generally a lazy country. We, historically, we're not known for doing our own work.
I mean, get the unemployment checks, man. 400.
Well, no. I mean, we built our country off slave labor and immigrant labor, so we don't really do our own work. So just in general, we're just like, whatever, like, very laissez-faire. And I think at this point, people are just like, we see it with the massive spike in COVID cases. People are just like, I just don't care. I'm going to take my risk. And they take their risk, and now all the hospitals are overflowing, and we're at capacity, and shit's getting bad. And we're just starting winter, and we're probably not going to have enough vaccines for everybody for another few months. So this winter is going to be really bad, probably. So I just don't foresee people, like, going out and selling all their stocks at this point. I mean, maybe this was the dead cat bounce. That was
I don't
like,
know.
that was after the Great Depression. Like that first dip, and then
Yeah.
big rebound, and then a huge tank after that went even lower. I don't see Bitcoin going back to 4,000,
So
but
I have a very different view on this. Like in 2017, 2016 or whatever, it did really seem like any news would affect the price dramatically. But I also don't know if I really believe that was the case. I kind of see it from a point of view of like, well, I don't see it from, this is not my point of view, but I think that whales control everything, so they're just kind of dumping and pumping whenever they want, and there just happens to be news that kind of falls into place, or there is news which gives the whales the idea to dump and pump. And I think that maybe in 2020 there's a lot more whales, so it's a little bit harder to do that kind of thing. So the news isn't going to have as much impact. And then, of course, when it comes to the stock market, I have no clue. The stock market, I just assume that everybody who wants to sell is waiting for some chaos or is waiting for some reason to sell. I mean, like last year, all of 2019, it was like that was the year of the CEOs cashing out of their stock. Remember, like they were all stepping down. Something like 200 CEOs, I don't know how many thousands probably left their positions, and they're probably just sitting there waiting for an opportunity to sell their stock, and that came on March 12th. So you're right. Maybe we don't have another March 12th in us, and maybe the most people who still have stocks or who have bought back stocks, they're not looking to sell right away right now. You're probably right about that. I just think
no, you're misinterpreting me. All those dips are from whales.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's whales, but a whale can't drive the price. A whale can initiate a drop, but people have to be willing to sell. People have to be afraid enough to like, oh shit, a whale's dumping, I'm going to sell everything. But when we were at 3,000 for like 7 months, whales were trying to dump it, and people were like, I'm not selling shit at 3,000. I'm not selling anything, and they were just buying it. Anytime a whale would try to dump, people would just buy it up.
You think retail was outbuying the whales in that case? I don't know.
Absolutely. Or else it would have kept dropping down below 3,000.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of imagine those are just whales fighting over the price. Some are actually thinking now they're buying it. I just don't think retail has any power in the markets, really.
Whales can't drive price without retail. Like I said, the whales can instigate a push, but without the retail jumping on board, it's just kind of, it's just dead in the water.
I wonder how that works. It'd be interesting to. I mean, there's probably so much research in this it's done. Like how much influence does retail have versus big account holders? I don't.
Well, I think a perfect
know.
example is last week when it dropped a couple thousand in one day. I think that could have easily been the impetus to drop like 5,000 all at once, but it just people were just like, eh.
Yeah, but even in that
it's just
case,
whales doing their thing. It's just whales trying to fuck with us. There wasn't enough new retail in yet to be scared by that. All of us who have been here for a while, we're like, it's $2,000. Who fucking cares? Like no big deal. Now, if it drops 5,000, you're going to get my attention. But they didn't have the ability to drop at 5,000 because every single one of those influencers on Twitter was like, buy the dip. Buy that fucking dip. Buy that motherfucking dip, bitch.
So it's the whales versus the influencers. The influencers are standing up to the whales.
Because that's how it is. Like, look, I mean,
maybe you're right.
Can't. Yeah, the masses will always if the masses stand together, there's nothing they can't do.
I just think the masses are so bad at standing together.
Absolutely, they're terrible at it.
They're all buying Ripple.
I mean, if they were good at it, we wouldn't have whales. They'd all be dead by now, and all the middle class people would have all their money.
Yeah, I guess I just imagine a market where it's just different types of whales. There's big whales and little whales, and maybe that's just what retail is. It's just a little whale.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
still for just the way that I imagine it is like whales want to move price, they do, and it just happens to line up with news. It's one of those things where in hindsight you can just see every little spot on the chart where the news lined up perfectly. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, yeah, I guess so. But then, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that, so here's the thing. So if you're new to crypto, historically, CNBC is the death knell for bull runs. Once CNBC starts promoting Bitcoin and talking about Bitcoin consistently, or talking about Ripple. Here's the thing: once they start talking about Ripple, that's when you know the the bull run's over.
Well, hold on. We got to be careful too, because this is in our experience. Like in 2017, 2018, when CNBC started talking about crypto, yeah, that was definitely the death knell. But that was the first time they ever really started talking about it too. So we can assume, based on the last bull cycle and maybe the 2018 and maybe the 2019 bull cycle, if you call it that, that CNBC is a good counter indicator. But who the fuck knows now? Because we're going to have so many more.
It wasn't just 2017 though. It was anytime there was, because it was going down, and they were like, "Oh shit, we just told all these people we taught all these people how to buy XRP,
right?
How to buy Ripple, and it's been fucking tanking."
Yeah.
So I think they were actually trying to like hype it up to get people to start buying more of it, just because they were fucking freaked out that like they told people to buy it at $3.
I think
they taught people how to buy Ripple at $3 fucking. It
was amazing. It was amazing. It was like, this is how you go on Bittrex and buy. I'll never forget that. It was like 2 days of insanity. People were like, "What is Ripple? Should I buy Ripple?" Like, whoa.
I was like,
but
not
like,
when it's this overbought.
I have no idea. It's probably a good counter indicator still, CNBC and pretty much any mainstream news like that. But like when something as ridiculous as like if the minute that you see Uniswap on national television, just dump everything, like just, but something like that, yeah.
But I mean, I think so. Like, you know, the recording we tried last week that didn't work out. We were arguing about. I was saying I'm starting to kind of see signs now that most people may not see, and it's not that I'm a fucking horrible trader, but it's that kind of thing, like oh, you know, my knee aches, must be a storm coming, like that type of thing, where it was like 7 straight days of big green candles on Bitcoin. It was starting to get overbought. CNBC's talking about it. The hype on Twitter, people are just getting fucking neurotic in their hopium and their excitement. Like, oh, we're all gonna be millionaires! Oh my god! And it's just like, okay, I'm gonna take a little bit off the table right now, because at this point, and so I did, and you know, it just started. You know, and I tweeted it out. I said it like now seems like a good time to like, I think something's gonna shift now. And people joked around, and then I retweeted it 3 days later. It's like, no, I wasn't just, you know, I'm not just saying I was a psychic. Here's my tweet, blah blah. But like,
well, do you feel like I mean, now we're still at 19,000, like we're at that same place again. Do you still feel the same way, or do you?
I don't feel anything right now. So that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things where I have like an indicator maybe 1% of the time. That's why I'm still poor. Because if I had that indicator that worked 99% of the time, I'd be a billionaire right now. But because I don't have it. So
I mean, I'm looking at those signs too. I'm seeing, okay, and the COVID thing, that's that shelter in place, is another one of those signs for me. It's like, oh, there might be something crazy happening. And I'm not looking at the COVID thing as like, oh, now people are going to dump their stocks because of this. I'm thinking like, well, maybe it's another news event. Like, people love dumping their stocks on news events. So maybe are going to...
I could see maybe it pumping for the next 3 weeks, because historically also January is a time when people sell their stocks and they sell their crypto. But that's, you know, just for tax purposes, they usually sell the day after the new year. You know?
Yeah, it's going to be, well, no matter what happens, even the price is interesting. Even it's the least interesting thing about crypto, and it's still interesting.
Yeah,
still get us talking about it.
I hate it.
So what else is going on? What else is going on in Bitcoin land?
Oh, so here's another reason I think it's a top, is because I just scrolling through my news feed, and apparently CoinDesk let fucking Saifedean write an article for them.
Really?
the most incompetent economist in the history of economists, and they let this guy write an opinion piece. And luckily, in big block letters above the date, it says opinion. So I'm so glad they did that, because this guy is such a moron. I don't know who if I was his university, I'd be taking back our degree, because this guy doesn't know anything. I mean, it's I don't know where to go.
That's crypto is full of people who it's one of those magical places where you can get a following, get an influence, and be a moron. I mean, that's just all over the place, right? We talk about so many of those people on this show.
Yeah. So if you notice, like for the past 3 years, no one gave Saifedean a platform. I didn't see him anywhere. I would hear about him on Twitter. I'd see, he has me blocked, but I would hear tweets of the grapevine for a while, and just the incompetence and blah blah, but I wasn't really seeing him anywhere. Like no one was giving a platform, and then that's the thing. I think when these bull cycles start, people are desperate for content, so they start pulling in any idiot off the street who wrote who pooped on paper and said this is a book.
That's Craig Wright's thing, basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, more or less. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get Saifedean coins sooner or later. So when he finally comes to term that he can create a better Bitcoin or whatever, the Bitcoin standard, or something like that.
No, his new one is called the Fiat Standard, the debt slavery alternative to human civilization.
It's such a puffy garbage. Yeah.
It is. It's just, I'm going to take like all these buzzwords and throw them together and make a buzzword salad. And people who don't know any better are going to think, hey, I know what I'm talking about. And it's just, he's just so incompetent.
These people are marketers. They're not actually economists.
Well, they're confidence men. He's trying to get your money. He's trying to sell books.
Yes.
So he's the person who's selling that. He's those religious people selling that silver solution that'll protect you from COVID. That's Saifedean. That's who he is.
I think we should probably talk about something that you mentioned last week, which was like, we're really hard on Bitcoin and we're really hard on crypto. I mean, listen to us talk about the signals are in, these people are idiots that are writing for CoinDesk. It's just like constantly. You wanted to make sure that people didn't like misunderstand what you were saying about Bitcoin also being one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies that you can own.
Yeah. So from a purely scientific mathematical standpoint and from an economic standpoint, Bitcoin is absolute garbage. If I was looking at the technical analysis, not technical analysis, if I was looking at just like a 3-page write-up about it, and somebody was saying like, it's this, it's that, it's this slow, it costs this much to transact, blah, blah, I would say this is absolute garbage. I would never invest in something that's like 1990s technology. I look at Bitcoin and I see pet rock. It's a fad. It doesn't do anything, and then after a year or two, it's gonna be boring. That said, sometimes, and I use this example a lot with NANO being Nikola Tesla and Bitcoin being Edison, where the better technology didn't win out. Edison was a better marketer, and he had inferior technology, and he still lasted a whole 100 years. His technology lasted a whole 100 years, and now people realize how garbage his ideas are, and that's why Tesla's making a comeback, and people are, Europe is on a different Europe's on 220 volt and blah, like different technologies. So that said, sometimes, especially in crypto, you have to put your brain aside. and so okay, but no, a perfect example, and I don't want you to, but think of it this way: mobs aren't rational, but you can still be killed by a mob. It's if you see a mob coming, and you try to rationalize why they're doing what they're doing and try to rationally tell them to stop, you're probably going to be murdered. So the trick is you have to put rationality aside sometimes and just go with the flow. And then try to gently steer it this way or that if you really need to. If you feel like that mob's going out to kill people and you want to stop that, you can gently try to like subvert it in ways. But if you just stand in front of the mob, you're going to get run over and you're going to die because it doesn't matter how irrational that mob is. Like you're still going to get
and don't forget that don't forget that the name of the game is making money. That's why you invested. I mean, maybe you love the technology, but you expect it to go up in value. And you expect it to do something for your future. So if that's the case, then I
didn't buy crypto to lose all my money.
There was this meme in 2017 and 2018, this sort of in it for the tech, for some reason you had more respect if you were quote unquote in it for the tech, but nobody's in it for the, I mean, yeah, sure. We're in it for the tech because the tech is going to make us more money. That's why. But like this, when it comes to these bubbles and what is going to happen if we pass 20,000 and we go up to 60, 70, 80,000, like we're going to be in a hardcore bubble. There's going to be no way that the technology can catch up with that. In 2017, at the end of 2017, people were auctioning off their Binance accounts because you couldn't get access to Binance because Binance was shut down and they weren't giving out any more accounts. Why? Because they weren't equipped for millions of people wanting to be on their platform at once.
Yeah. And they were the first ones who would just list all garbage. Any kind of garbage, they would list it.
So this stuff, like there's no way the technology can catch up. Like there's no way that Bitcoin is going to get good enough in the next 2 years if we have that one of those cycles. It's going to be
so we're going to go back to $50 transaction fees.
But what I'm saying is like you're going to see crap coins go absolutely nutso. Yeah. And if you are, I mean, like that's like. You can sit there and hate the whole thing, or you can be like, well, this is ridiculous and this is crazy and this is fun to see all of this garbage flying sky high. And I think that's the thing. It's like we're so negative on this show, but the bull runs, hopefully they're going to be a lot of fun. And I think that was when we talked last week, like one of the points that I wanted to make was like, you really have to enjoy crypto and you have to enjoy talking about it and you have to enjoy what it does. Otherwise you're going to be kind of miserable because if you're just in here to try to make money, it's going to be really hard. Trying to catch markets is impossible. Trying to read signs, especially if you're new, is really hard. So
yeah. And this is the thing I pushed back on JJ and Carter Thomas about, because Carter Thomas is the one who said it last week and a half ago. He had a new video finally after like a year, but of course, he has a new video, and I'm just like shaking my head. It's like, did you seriously just say that? He's like, oh, you should be having a great time, like have fun. I was like, who says that about their Roth IRA? Nobody. Nobody. So if you're here to make money, like you're either if you're thinking about cryptocurrency like Vegas, do your thing. But if you're thinking about cryptocurrency and we're in the middle of a recession, we're in the middle of COVID-19, mass pandemic, everything's shutting down. Tens of millions of people out of work, unemployed. But the idea of enjoy yourself at Vegas, I just, that's what I was saying. I don't really want to like push that narrative necessarily. Like,
I get that. I just think like if you're going to be in it, you're going to be researching stuff. You're going to be listening to this podcast. Like we do this podcast for fun. So like, I mean, I knew a lot of people who got into crypto late 2017, and they never really liked it. They were just always trying to keep up with what was going on.
Yeah,
and I think that really sucked for them. And I think they invested more than they could afford to lose, maybe.
Yes,
or maybe like they thought that, because I was interested in it from earlier, so I had a little bit more knowledge. So some people were thinking like, how could you know so much about crypto? So I don't know. And for me, it is fun to learn. Like new technology is fun. Like if I hear about a shitcoin that does something really bizarre, like my first reaction might be that's a scam, but at least it's a wacky idea, you know? At least we're like, you know, putting dentists on the blockchain or whatever the fuck, you know?
Dentacoin. What
Like-
the fuck is that?
Like the reason that people don't have fun with their Roth IRAs is because who's interested in this? There's nothing new about them. And that's my thing. So,
no, and a lot of those people sold and lost a lot of money. You know, they sold during the dip and they lost a lot of money, and so that's, you know, it sucks to be them. I feel bad for them. But you know, that's the thing. Like, I understand the point of like have fun in the sense of like put in money that you don't mind losing, because if you don't mind losing it, there's a chance you might not sell. And dips are usually ways that whales are trying to take your money from you. And dips are ways that Bitcoin miners are trying to take your money from you through fees. Because Bitcoin is just glorified taxation for libertarians. And they just want your money. And they want you to keep using your Bitcoin, so, you know, miners can keep taxing the shit out of you and taking your Bitcoin. That's why I don't like Bitcoin. It's modern day taxation. And any libertarian and any Bitcoiner would tell you taxation is theft. Bitcoin is fucking theft. Bitcoin is stealing your money. And what's disgusting, what's fucking disgusting, and I'm gonna get mad here for a second, is all these fucking Bitcoin bros going on Coinbase or going on Twitter right now, bragging about going into developing poor nations, saying, you know, people are using Bitcoin left and right, see blah blah. These people are paying more in fees than they make in a fucking day.
Yeah.
So, and all
That's
that
really
money
offensive.
doesn't go back to those countries. All that taxation, all those fees, all those taxation fees are going to fucking rich people with their $1 million mining farms. And so what they're doing is they're sucking wealth out of developing nations, out of poor people's pockets, and they're giving it to the rich. Bitcoin is fucking taxation and it's fucking theft. So don't ever let anybody tell you different. But that said, if there's going to be a bull run, I'll buy a little bit and jump on the bandwagon. But at the end of the day, if somebody ever said, would you ever buy it to help save the planet? I would say, fuck no. It's not ecologically friendly. It destroys the planet. It uses like a barrel of oil a fucking day or something like that. Something ridiculous. I mean, an hour or I forget what it is.
Wow.
It's crazy how detrimental to the planet it is. And then on top of that, it's just fucking grifting. Bitcoin is a grift for rich people to take their money from the money from poor people through taxation. That's all it is. That's why I don't like Bitcoin. That's why I like Nano, because it's free. Maybe like everything aside,
Nano shell.
No, but everything aside, I'm sitting there and I watch something like Nano and I say, okay, cool. It either works or it doesn't. I don't lose anything in the process. I'm not being like scalped every time I try to test out the technology. If I want to test out the technology of Bitcoin, I'm being taxed every single time. I can't really experiment with the technology and see if it's good or bad because I'm being grifted every single time I use it. And I'm having my wealth stripped from me, taken away. By force, especially because once I buy it, that's it. I'm fucked. I have no choice. I can't ever use it again without being taxed. That's why I don't like Bitcoin.
Well, have you thought about trying to monetize your irreverence for Bitcoin? Because you could like put on a bow tie and then go on Twitter and be like, but Bitcoin is terrible. You could be like one of those guys probably.
I totally should. I absolutely
speaking
should.
of guys like that, so carbon-based, rest in peace, the original carbon-based Twitter account. He was a guest on this show. He hated us on this show.
Because I brought up Nano and he's like, what the fuck is that? I don't know anything about Nano. It's like, yeah, because you're dumb.
Yeah, I want to talk some shit.
I like carbon-based.
Well, he just did the weirdest thing. Like, he's probably a different person. He says he sold his account, so I don't know what the fuck. But he like from everything that I can tell, if he is actually the same person, because now he's based Carbon on
Yeah.
So I don't know. He might be a
On
different
Twitter.
person for all I know, because he doesn't do any more like live or YouTube stuff. Somebody prove to me who exactly he is, because if he is the same person, then he used a persona that hated crypto to become popular in crypto, so that he could become a pro crypto personality. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he is now. He's a shitcoin shill.
Yeah.
But did he really use the anti-crypto to gain followers? Like, is that, and how did that even work? Because he lost his account. Like, he went through like a couple different, he must be a different person. I don't get it. Somebody, you guys all know who he is, and you guys are keeping it from me, and I feel like I'm left out of this joke.
And what's up with the Vile gang? Because what does that do to the Vile gang? Like Cass and Kyle and even Bennett and like all these people who were right on board and being anti-crypto. And I mean,
Daniel Jones, I see Vile too.
well, Daniel Jones, my God, Nick Sops. If you don't know what's up with Nick Sops, just do some Google research on that. That's a complete fucking meltdown of
We've asked Kaz
person
to come up back on the show, and he's agreed. So we're gonna talk about some of this vile shit that's happening. Next week, hopefully next week.
It's not. I don't know. He's got some family issues, so I don't know if it's going to be for a while. So Cass, if you're listening, we wish you the best, and we're praying for you and your family, because that's not something anybody really wants to go through.
But come back on the show so we can talk shit about crypto.
Yes, when you're done, when you've gotten everything straightened out, and you want to come on and enjoy an hour of shit talking, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, because we're gonna. Oh, have you thought about that? Like, we're gonna get new carbon-based type accounts. Like, who are the new? Like, like last time we got Cass, and we got, there was Bitfinex, the original anti-crypto.
Yeah,
and then you get like the big sort of more academic people like Noriel and
oh yeah, God, those guys are. And Peter Schiff or whatever.
Peter Schiff, like those guys who like actually have money and they're just really bored, and so they want to hate on something.
Yeah,
I'm sure they just have a lot of fun doing it. And then you like David Gerard, like he just like at this point he's got what do you call that? What do you call that phenomenon of like you put so much energy into something you have to keep believing in it? I feel like David Gerard kind of has that.
Flat earthers.
Yeah, I feel like David Gerard at this point, like he's written the book on how blockchain that like isn't going to work. So he can't not fight that fight now.
I bought his new book that just came out about just to support him about Facebook's Libra.
Is it good? Have you read it?
I'm like a chapter in. That's the thing. Like most of it's kind of explaining about it, and I already know most of it. So I'm just like kind of like skimming. Like I know all that. I know all that.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I need to read the book, but it seems like it's pretty easy to jump to Libra's a big. I mean, we've talked about Libra on the show, but it's like, okay, that's Facebook trying to be a bank, and they're not going to be able to pull that off into this country according to our laws and our government. So it's just going to be a flaming pile of poo, and that's probably what David Gerard's book's about. Yeah. But I mean, that's pretty obvious, and I think that like, yeah, I like David Gerard though. He's very creative when it comes to hating on crypto.
Yeah. And you have to, and there's a common thread between all those people and me and JJ is that we're artists and nonconformists and anti-establishment people. And that's why I constantly question myself of, do I dislike Bitcoin because it's bad, or do I dislike Bitcoin because I'm anti-establishment? And with all the Wall Street people buying Bitcoin, it's now an establishment cryptocurrency.
It's so funny. Yeah, it used to be such an like anti-establishment thing to buy Bitcoin and use it, and now it's anti-establishment.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is the establishment. The majority of the majority of it. I don't know if it's the majority. I feel like I don't know if it's the majority.
The Bitcoin standard.
I feel like the majority of it is owned by Wall Street people or big time investors now.
That's what I was. I was actually going to ask that when you were talking about like laziness in the U.S. I wonder how much. I mean, I assume that China's got like most of the Bitcoin that exists is probably in China or owned by Chinese. Like that's what I assume. I mean, they've got more people, so and I know it's really big over there,
and they've got the majority of the miners.
Uh-huh.
But if they're selling, if they're selling and people like Wall Street are buying, then maybe that's shifting over to Wall Street having the majority of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we usually think of the U.S. as having such enormous power in the world, but when it comes to crypto, I don't really know. I guess like
Yeah.
it's hard to make cryptos here. It's hard to do. It's hard to subvert all of our securities laws. I mean, well, you can't really. Or you can. You go to jail, but like otherwise, it's very limited. Like what the U.S.'s involvement. Now, if the U.S. were to, regulate or ban or whatever, then that would be a big deal, and we'd probably get a crash. But I mean, yeah,
Well, I think governments realize that one, they don't want to overstep. Our government doesn't want to overstep, and two, they don't want to let it run amok and take control of over the U.S. dollar, which the U.S. dollar is still the most powerful piece of paper and currency on the planet.
what do you mean by overstep?
I don't think that they want to stop
Development,
evolution of technology, of money, of because things are constantly evolving, and they want to always be on the cutting edge, and they want to be, and they know that America is seen as being on the cutting edge of wealth. And we don't want to lose that reign, like England did, like Spain did. I mean, all these major superpowers lost their currency was no longer like the dominant currency, and so I think that they're very cognizant of that, and that's why they're being very particular about stopping ICOs, but never really mentioning Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that. They said we're going to stop ICOs.
Smart. It's pretty smart. Like,
and we're not,
nice. Yeah.
And we're not going to stop Bitcoin or Ethereum, but we're going to stop. We're going to make sure that Tether has that much money in the bank.
Yeah,
they're very specific.
It's pretty. It makes me think that somebody in our government is actually thinking it through, being like, we don't remember 2 years ago when there was some kind of. It was when the SEC and the CFTC were talking about Bitcoin or crypto or something, and like they basically were the Congress just seemed clueless. That's what it was. It was Congress and the head of the SEC and the CFTC and Congress.
Securities, right? They're trying to see if it was a security or not.
Yeah, and like basically Congress is asking questions like, so wait, this Ethereum stuff. So I can't put it in my pocket, like stuff like that. But so they were just clueless. So somebody is getting a clue, and they're realizing, oh, this is we can't stifle this. This might actually be something that's really valuable. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad our government is not just like, nope, can't have it.
Well, and all these Bitcoin idiots on Twitter like saying like, oh, this is the death knell and overstep and overregulations. Like, all they want to know is that Tether has the money in the bank. That's it.
I think it's amazing.
That's all they're trying to do. Yeah, and people are losing their shit. People who constantly say over and over and over again, verify, don't trust, are saying, fuck, we don't want regulation. We want to just trust that Tether has the money.
It's amazing to me.
It's mind-blowing how dumb some of these people are.
Oh, but you're just repeating the old conspiracy theory. Oh, we've heard that a million times. I mean, like, you've heard it a million times because you're blindly just assuming this guy. I mean, we've talked about this before, but
and we still haven't seen an audit. We still haven't seen an audit.
It's crazy.
Just show us an audit. That's all we want to see. We just want to make sure that you have the money that you claim to have.
Well, a lot more institutions are. I mean, stable coins have now become a thing. They've been solidified in this technology, and USDC seems to be the one that the institutions
are going to win.
That's going to win. I wonder because Tether is obviously still, it's Tether, but USDC, I guess they have their audit.
Well, I mean, they're playing by the rules. They're working with Visa. Visa's not going to work with them without looking at the books first. They're not going to sign that contract.
Of course not.
Without looking at the books first and making sure that they have exactly what they say they have. That's the thing. That's the reason why no one will work at Tether. Because they're fucking shady. That's the reason why they're in court. There's a reason why USDC isn't in court right now. Coinbase isn't in court right now about USDC. Because obviously they're playing by the rules.
I imagine like Tether Island It's at Tether Island is the place where they store all the dollar bills, and they're all stored as $1 bills. And they're like in this, you have to take an elevator down into like this dungeon, and like the dungeon is just opens up into a wide like amphitheater, and there's like dragons in there guarding the money or
Scrooge
something
McDuck.
like that.
Scrooge McDuck swimming
is
around
swimming.
in there.
Yeah, it's basically that's what I imagine Tether Island to be like. Nobody knows how to get there. It's like somewhere off the coast of, it's somewhere in the middle of the Indian Ocean or something.
That'd be a fun video game.
Yeah, like find Tether Island.
8-bit video game like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, totally.
The Island of Tether.
The Island of Tether. Yeah, Indiana Jones is looking. You have to like formed a band of native people to find the opening of the cave. That yeah, where have we lost it? That's like where. That's like where all the crypto celebrities go when we don't hear from them anymore. All these people, Richard Hart's he's going to Tether Island.
He probably,
like
probably already has a mansion on it.
Arthur Hayes is now mayor of Tether Island or something.
So is Richard Hart gay?
Well, I have no idea. Who cares?
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but there's this weird thing where he's constantly talking about like how much pussy he gets. Like his words.
He's very egotistical, so I mean,
but all he wants to do is try to get men to think about him when they jack off.
Oh, that's a good point. He has mentioned that a couple. He mentioned that on
our show, and he keeps tweeting about it recently. And I'm like, why do you want men to think about you while they're masturbating? That is weird, bro. And that is really weird.
He loves his dudes, man. Like he's set out to be like the mayor of Dudeville,
Boys Town, San Francisco.
Like, I don't think there are that many women that are buying Hex or whatever. I think it's just a bunch of. Either. It's a big sausage party. Yeah.
So maybe it's like he's in jail and he's like, well, you're not really gay if you're fucking dudes when you're in jail. It's not gay, and so maybe that's his thing. Where it's just like,
oh man.
He's in Hex jail, and so he's got a bunch of dudes around him. He's like, when in Rome.
Yeah, I don't know. Sexuality is a complicated thing, man. Richard Hart could be his own thing, and that's cool.
I mean, like I said, not there's anything wrong with it, but I do find it weird that's kind of been his thing lately.
Yeah, kind of turns me on.
Is trying to get guys to think about him when they masturbate.
Yeah, whatever turns you on.
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Candelabras, top hats, funny chairs, and keyboards. Keyboards. Loves his keyboards and his gold and gems. We talk a lot about shit about Richard Hart.
He would be the great villain for Tether Island. You know, so it would be like a great new Austin Powers movie. Austin Powers and the Island of Tether, and Richard Hart is the evil boss that he has to like beat to kill.
But somehow Richard Hart would end up becoming one of the good guys by the end, probably.
Yeah,
he's probably something that you have to in this video game, this 8-bit video game. You've got to find Richard Hart and then defeat him, which he joins you. Defeating.
So he's the first boss, and he tries to seduce Austin Powers. Austin Powers overcomes him, and then he becomes his sidekick.
Right. He is an Austin Powers character, isn't he? Oh, man.
So if anybody out there wants to make video games,
we got an idea.
We got an idea.
Crypto. All right. We didn't introduce the show. You're listening to Keyword Crypto with Michael and JJ. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Michael, can I tell people about the recording app that we've been using? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
So for the last several episodes, we've been recording with a mobile device that we created. It's something we were kind of frustrated with the fact that we can't just record podcasts directly to our phone. So we kind of set out to record a multi-track recorder. We set out to build a multi-track recorder that you can just use on your phone. It's available for iPhone right now. It's in beta. If you are interested in this, or you wanted to start a podcast and you can't afford the equipment, or you just don't know how to use it, or you just don't care to use a computer like that, you just want to whip out your phone and dial up your friend and then record a conversation.
And get amazing sound.
That's the other thing. We're able to figure out a way to do it.
Amazing sound.
Yeah, way to get it sounding really good. You can listen to our previous podcast as evidence. But yes, reach out to me on Twitter. It's keyword underscore JJ. That's my at keyword underscore JJ is my Twitter handle. I'm not on Twitter that much, but yes, I will respond to you. Hit me up in a DM and I will give you the test flight link so you can become one of the beta testers and tell me what you think. And
and
that'd
it's
be
good.
cool.
It's great. If you listen to our one of our first interviews with Vitalik Buterin, you can see just how important it was because he didn't have any technology with him. He was on vacation in China, and he ended up having to mute himself in between talking for an hour manually because just the technology wasn't there. So that's a perfect example of what this is going to overcome because you can do it. You can be anywhere in the world, just have your phone with you and have a great conversation, and it sounds amazing.
Yeah, and if you have an established podcast and you already are using certain equipment, you might still be interested in checking this out anyway, because I guarantee you have an issue getting guests to log into whatever fucking system you're using, and getting them to dial up on their phone sounds terrible, and this is a solution to that. Yeah. So let me know. Right now, the app is called Bandcast, BANDCAST. It'll probably change soon, but that's what the beta version is called. So yes, hit us up. Let me know if you want to try it. And that's it. That's the plug.
Sweet. Good job. Hey, and if you like the show, rate us, review us. It really helps. We never say that. We almost never advertise our show and plug our show, but it's coming to a point where, especially getting into the bull market, we would like to try to get our show further up so people aren't getting a lot of those scam podcasts shoved in their face. We'd like to have ours because up there, because I feel like we're a common sense podcast. We try to give people information that can help them not have all their money taken from them.
There's 1,000 crypto podcasts, and I think we were like the 10th or something. I think we were the 10th crypto podcast. But yes, baby. Yeah, help us out. We're going to be try to do a little bit more promotion for this thing. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.